Well, thank you very much for taking the time to spend with me, Denise, and everyone here at Still Hopes this evening as we speak about living bold and not old. And by the way, how many of you in this room are over the age of 47? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. At the turn of the 1900s, many of us would not be in this room. The exciting part is that a lot has changed since then, and we all are. And what we're going to talk about tonight is some of the things that are changing that will help us to continue to be here for quite some time. By the way, my grandmother's 103 years of age, and she says hello. So I just had to tell you that. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about quality of life. How to achieve it. I think we all would like a quality lifestyle. The question is, what do we need to do to get there? And in conversation with Denise today, I was almost ready to go home. I basically understood that you guys are doing it all anyway. However, maybe I can reinforce some of these points for you and share a different perspective just to stimulate some thought and inspiration amongst those that haven't taken place in the Wellness Center yet. You got that? Anyway, so with that said, let's set the stage. And it's so nice because this stage actually almost looks like that. So it's a perfect transition. So let's set the stage for tonight and our conversation. Many years ago, when we started to realize that we're living much longer, a lot of people are living much longer. The question was, what would you do if you were gifted an additional 30 years of life? What would you do with that? Matter of fact, many of you today should be asking yourself, what would you do if you're gifted another 20 years of life, 10 years of life, 15 years of life, depending on where you are and how healthy you are? And the question really was answered with what has been occurring over the last 10 to 20 years. And I'm using this as a preamble to take us to where we need to go. And that is, we would reinvent the life course, or our life and what we do over the course of it, so that we would be able to maximize that gift. The question, and it is a gift, by the way. Not all of us achieve it. Not all of us are gifted with it. But we would reinvent the life course. The life course used to look like this. You were born, you learned, you went to school, maybe you went to school and left a little bit earlier. You'd spend your life working, then you'd retire. Sound familiar? Oh, no one does that anymore, do they? However, over the last 100 years, we have experienced a longevity revolution, as I just mentioned, and that's why many of us are in this room today. What has happened is that has actually changed how we are actually growing old and what we are actually doing today. So instead, we're learning much longer, we're going into the workforce, we're having children, we're working, then we end up, potentially in a caring situation, as we do with children, maybe for our spouses or even our children, and then we retire much later, and life is changing. Now, what is happening around us to address that is that attitudes are changing around our reinvention of the life course. It used to be that, if you were older and you were dressing a little bit fashionably, people would say, don't do that. Why would you dress like you're young? Anyone ever heard that? No! My 21-year-old daughter says that to me. And I'm going, honey, I'm just wearing shorts. Maybe it's how high the shorts are, but anyway. But today we see this in the fashion industry. Helen Mirren, Catherine Deneuve, many of the models from the past that are coming back in. And one of the reasons is because, number one, there are many more of us that are aging in the world today, but also our life course is changing. And just because we're older doesn't mean that we aren't able to do the things we wanted to do whenever we wanted to do them, how we wanted to do them. I'm not telling you anything new. Remember, this is just a build-up. So our expected life course for the future is very similar to today, but we're going to work, have children, learn, continue to learn, go to universities. Matter of fact, one of the trends that is happening is universities actually being built or campuses of retirement communities being built on the campus of universities. Maybe in midlife we take a sabbatical, try and figure out what our second career is. Some people call that being fired, other people call that just taking time off. Working, and the working just basically goes down, and then, one day we decide that we don't want to work anymore. And maybe we're volunteering. But the life course is very different than it was 100 years ago. Why? And what does that actually mean to you? Well, you like that picture. I showed this in England a week ago, and they went, "Is she selling fish and chips?" I don't know why that was. But anyway, standing in the way of us achieving all of this, of course, is our health. Many of us in this room have multiple chronic health conditions, but today those aren't actually stopping us from doing the things that we want to do or used to do. Matter of fact, many of those issues used to be why most people didn't live to the age of 65 because they were acute issues. Now they're chronic, such as diabetes and heart health and so forth. The thing to remember is that each of these issues act individually, and that's important as we move forward. If you look at it, diabetes, it is not just by itself. It could be stimulated by obesity, depression, dementia, all of these different things which are impacting our quality of life. Even though we are living with these conditions, it doesn't mean that we're living a quality lifestyle, which is really what this slide is about. And then the next slide is about where we're going with all of this. And that is, today, our last decade for many of us is in ill health. Anyone familiar with that? Know someone with that? You have issues that are slowing things down? Okay, that doesn't have to be that way. So what we know today is that the scientists have done more research than ever before over the last 30 years trying to figure out how to minimize that impact. Okay? And what they have found is that we all age very differently. My grandmother at 103, up until a year ago when she had a stroke in her eye, would wake up every morning, would work out, and then she would go for a walk, then she would socialize with her friends. My dad at 82 is wheelchair bound, and it's mostly because of lack of leg strength. He can't get up out of the chair. 23 years difference, big difference in their functional ability. So we all age very differently based on our lifestyles and a variety of different factors around chronic health conditions, which is what is driving the call across the world for changing models from a healthcare model to one that is focused on quality of life. So that's what we're going to talk about today. That was a long buildup, just simply to tell you that we're going to talk about how to achieve quality of life. Anyone not want a quality lifestyle? Anyone in the room? Come on, just put your hand up. There's always one. There's always one in the back going, I'll just live the way I want. Not a problem. You can certainly do that. So today what we know is that health equals wealth. The healthier you are, the more likely you are to hang on to more of your money. My dad is a legal drugstore. Okay? He literally has 15 different drugs that he takes on a daily basis. About a year ago, we went to see a geriatrician, and he cut him back to 5. Okay? So making sure that you take advantage of your surroundings and the knowledge of people to help you manage your health is crucial to moving forward with your quality of life. Now, how many of you see yourself as old? No one ever does, do they? My grandmother, at the age of 3, talks about those old people. Okay? None of us ever really see ourselves as old. We're always thinking of ourselves as younger than we are, and so we should, because if we actually think of ourselves as younger, by the way, that was just me stripping. You ladies don't mind that, do you? Okay. The men in there are going, oh no, but anyway. What the research shows is that most of us nowadays, because of our improvements in quality of life, actually see ourselves as much younger than we are, and it doesn't matter, 40 to 90, 85% of us are actually thinking of ourselves as still younger. So as we go through, I will tell you why this is important, because mindset is actually such a key component to how you age well. And we'll look at some of the statistics around that. That was quick. Did you catch that slide? No? Okay, there it goes again. Okay. So what the research has actually shown, and what we're going to talk about tonight, is potential. It shows that we have all of this great human potential within us. The question is whether we tap into that today, tomorrow, in the future, but it is there. And I'm going to show you an example. How many of you have ever seen this picture of this gentleman, Fajut Singh? Okay. How many of you in this room are 100 years of age? No one. Who's the closest? 90? Anyone 90? Excellent. Okay. How many of you want to run a marathon?
I've already run that.
You're ready to run the marathon? Perfect. Fajut Singh celebrated his 100th birthday in Toronto running the marathon. Now, why is this an interesting story? Number one is he did not start running until he was the age of 77. Okay? And he had taken 47 years off of running. And what the significance of this is that basically the Director General of the World Health Organization said, once a man of the age of 100 is found running a marathon, maybe it's time we change our perceptions of what it means to grow old. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a different attitude towards aging. Now, this is all based on the research. The research shows that it's not about our age, it's about our lifestyle. And as we dig into the presentation, you'll see exactly what I'm speaking about. And the media has been driving this interest in this story. Anyone ever heard 50's the new 20, 50's the new 30, 70's the new 50, 90's the new something? 20's the new 50, which actually is pretty close to the truth. So all the stuff we learn here tonight for yourselves, your family, and your grandchildren, So the key here now is, how do we fulfill our aspirations moving forward? What do we want to aspire to? What's our expectations? What's our wants, needs, and our capabilities to do that? Denise and I were talking today. Everybody says they want to travel. Anyone here want to travel? Okay, from here back to the room, or no? Okay. The key is you need to be healthy. If you're going to travel, if you've ever walked up the Great Wall of China, or just the steps along the Forum or the Colosseum in Rome, any of those places, you need to have a certain level of physical activity capabilities. So as we chat about your aspirations, keep in mind that the trump card in all of this is our health. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how active aging is now creating a policy framework worldwide, and also actually creating an opportunity for you to age well. And that's what Still Hopes does here today. Beautiful wellness center that I actually went to. And it's all about helping you to remain fully engaged in life within all of the areas of wellness. And we'll break that down. Why active aging? Because it can minimize the challenges that we face as we grow older. Anyone have any pain? Achy knees? Bad back? Okay. A little bit of pain in the butt known as grandchild? No, that's okay. We won't speak about that one. Okay. But active aging can help you with a grandchild too, just keeping up with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what Billy Graham actually said, and I think this is for all of us to be aware of. The best way to meet the challenges of growing old is to actually prepare for them before they occur. Well, for many of us, we're here now, so what do we do? Well, what we do is we start with the fact of one of our biggest challenges is to manage change. As we go through life, changes include change in independence, changes in mobility, change in function, power, health, bone, height. My wife actually just found out she's an inch shorter. So that's good for me. She's taller than I am. Okay? So now we're a little bit closer. You think I'm joking? It's actually pretty good. You know, a change in energy. How many of you have felt a little bit more tired in the last little while? Not the last 10 minutes, okay? You know, how do you manage change in that? And that's where the services here actually help you. Change in sleep habits, change in hearing, change in vision, all of these things. And what's one word that we need to do to actually manage these? Anyone? We need to be more resilient. We need to be able to adapt to change. But we also need help to manage that changing process, whether it's sort of finances, skills, time, retirement, whatever it may be. So with that said, you know, some of the services that we see growing around the world, and actually just with the wonderful services that I saw here today, are things like life coaches that help you manage these changes. If you haven't taken advantage of the team here that may or may not do all of these different elements, you know, embrace them and actually get them to help you manage some of these different changes. We see things like concierge services, what's next, age management, longevity clinics, all popping up with a goal to help people to age well. Whether you're 30, 80, 90, we all want to age well. And by the way, aging happens, as we all know, across the whole life course. It's not, you know, that's not the issue. It's how we grow old is the issue. And do we stay young in our mind or not? So to fulfill your aspirations, the biggest thing that I saw in my trek through Still Hopes today was their wellness program, and that they have a multi-dimensional model. And I'm going to go through some of these different dimensions for you and actually talk to you about why each of these are important. Sometimes, you know, it's nice, Denise is here all the time, you see her, and, you know, it's kind of like your child. Or I don't mean she's your child. It's basically like a child with their parents. And that is, you constantly hear them, but you don't hear them. So maybe a little bit of a different perspective, but Denise is a good parent. Wouldn't you agree? You guys weren't very stimulating. You were going, no. Yes, Denise is a good parent, yes. So let's dive into all of this, shall we? We're going to look at the physical dimension. Here is probably the most important slide. If you remember nothing else about tonight, otherwise, and ladies, that I'm a very attractive young man, right? It never works. So anyway, this is what happens to most of us and why most of us end up having challenges with mobility and getting around. And I'm going to demonstrate. Can I get a volunteer in the audience? Yes, I already pre-picked one, so you don't have to put your hands up. That's okay. You know, and he's so exciting, coming down, there he comes, running. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. Here's what happens in early life. We build up all these great reserves. We feel invincible. Anyone ever done that? You know, at the age of 20, you just feel, the world's mine. You know, oh, that boyfriend chasing me, and I jump out of the second-story window, no problem. No one's ever done that, right? I would never do that. Anyway, but once we reach about 35 years of age, we begin to lose our strength. And from there, between the ages of 35 and 70, we lose about 50% of our strength. If we're inactive, if we're sitting all day, watching TV, working, in a car, at a dining table, at a movie, those are all seated, okay? Now, I am actually going to show you what that looks like in real life. I'm going to... I didn't prep him very well. Okay, I'm just going to ask you to hop up, but make sure that you grab around my neck. Okay, we don't have to be best friends, but anyway.
Let's don't be best friends.
Okay, now, think about this.
You're getting close.
Yeah, think about this. You weigh how much again?
About 175.
175. So if I weigh 175, which I don't, but if I weighed 175 and he just jumped on top of me, and I'm walking around like this, I have just lost 50% of my strength, which, because we're the same weight. Now, do you think that that would impact my quality of life? Now I'm running after the bus. Now I'm running after the grandkids. Okay, let's stop there. You just ruined my quality of life. Thanks. Now, I have to put this on so I buffer everything that I say. But that's what happens, is if you're inactive, what ends up happening is you take someone that weighs the same as you do, and you put them on your shoulder, and you walk around for the rest of your life with them on. Now the question is, do you want to get them off of you or not? How many of you want to get them off? Now, somebody just took my remote control. It's known as Colin took his own remote control. Now, that is what a very basic strength program here can actually do. 35, you're not inactive, or even if you are, starting to do some physical activity, cardiovascular health, your strength training, which is crucial, because if you can't get up doing this, that's a challenge. Okay, now we know that you can actually go up a little bit more, so it actually makes a huge difference in how you grow old. The exciting part is this can be reversed, a significant portion of this, at any age. Research done at Tufts University in the mid-1990s was done in individuals up to the age of 90, and it showed that it doesn't matter how old you are, a good strength training program can help reverse much of the strength loss that you have experienced. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And if you actually just maintain it because you're losing strength, and you just maintain it, you're actually further ahead than if you were to lose it. So if you're not already, I encourage you to participate in strength programs here, not for exercise or fitness, but to maintain your ability to function, to walk around and do the things that you want to do. So I'm going to ask you a couple quick questions to see if you know the impact of this. By the age of 80, how many of us cannot lift a bowling ball? Anyone? 50%. Oh, that's a tough person. Anyone else? 75%. A little pessimistic, but that's okay. I like you. Anyone else? 80%. Well, 80 and 80, that sounds good. 20%. 46%. Why? Remember, 50% of us, or we've lost 50% of our strength. Roughly, close to 50% of us cannot even lift 10 pounds. Significant impact on our quality of life. Doesn't have to be that way. Okay? That's the exciting part that I'm here today to tell you, is it doesn't have to be that way, and many of you already know this. Okay? What about walking around a 400-meter track? What percent can walk around a 400-meter track, or cannot walk around a 400-meter track without feeling tired? How many miles? Quarter of a mile. Is that 15%? Okay, good one. I'm not good in the math. 400 meters, I just know it is meters. Once around that big track. 49%. Okay? So think about that, and think about, these are things that are all changeable, but are all part of the reason why some of us have a harder time getting around. My dad, living across from the store, always wanted a bench in between him and the store. Reasonable. The store was 100 yards away. So, but for him, that 100 yards was a very long distance. So putting the bench there would have helped him to start along the distance. And the last one, anyone here like gardening? Yes. Just a couple of you, I know. Okay, what percentage of people are not able to get down in the ground without any issues? 70%, oh, you were the 50, you're going up. You're just following the trends. Anyone else?
At what age?
Oh, sorry, all of this is 80 plus. 15%. 19%. This is like, one of these things. I should be selling something tonight. 66%. Now, if you wonder why so many places offer chair aerobic classes, this is part of the reason. Okay? Our goal is to get you fit and healthy, but also get you so that you can get up and off that ground. 1 out of 3 people over the age of 65 fall every year, and 30% or 50% will fall again within a 12-month period. So our goal has got to be to get you up, get you strong, so that that's not you. Okay? My dad, twice last year, both times on the toilet. Not very nice when the firemen come in. Okay? Very serious issue. So with that said, here's our goal. You're playing with your grandkids, you're looking for your Hot Wheels, and of course they're always under the fridge. Okay? And that you have the ability to go down there to actually look and find them. Now, I have heard it so many times, oh, I can't do that, I'm old. How do you say pleasantly that that's not actually always so factual? Okay? It's, are we doing something about that to change that? Because these are all things that can be changed. How many of you can actually touch your toes? Ooh, wow. It's not something that everybody can do, but you can work in it. So here's what happens, is that we have different what's called functional levels. We have an athletic person, a fit person, and an independent person. Then we begin to have where we have some challenges and we need some help, and then we need a lot more help. The exciting part that we know is that you can go this way and that you can go this way based on your lifestyle and the choices that you make. So the question becomes is, which way do you want to go? Where are you today? Many of you are probably right in here. Okay? Do you want to move up a little bit and build up your fitness reserves? Avoid going this way. And for those that are here, you can move back this way through a great physical activity program. Now, there are many issues that come into play. I'm not saying that everybody falls into that. Okay? But function isn't just about keeping our physical function. It's also about keeping our cognitive function and also our social function and socializing with people. How many of you really hate people? It's okay. Just put your hand up and say, I hate the person beside me. No, you don't want to do that. Somebody did that? Well, that's okay. So here's the thing, is that we want to try and maintain as high a function as possible physically, cognitively, and socially. And all of those three are interconnected. We know that physical activity can impact your cognitive health. And of course, if you're physically active and you're out in a group, you're also connecting with people socially. So, people have always told me, oh, I'm not sure if I want to move into a retirement community. And I can never figure out why. To me, it's actually one of the best places that you can go because you've got social connections, you've got all the different services that you want right there. My parents are very isolated in their own environment, and then all of a sudden they moved into a retirement community, and now they have new friends, so forth. But a lot of times we have misperceptions. Let's get rid of those. So, why function? Function can manage falls, function can help us to, minimize chronic health conditions. Function can give us the ability, if we choose to work, volunteering, paid, not paid, mentoring, whatever we would like to do. And for me, the biggest implication about function is this. We have all this great potential, and the last thing we want to do is lose the opportunity to realize that potential. And we talk about exercise, we talk about fitness, we talk about all of this. That is all a means to maintaining our abilities so that we can age the way we would like. So with that said, you'll probably find that organizations like Still Hopes and your doctors and so forth are doing more and more assessments to try and figure out how to help manage that functional tests. It's not just to simply say, oh, you're getting fitter. It's actually to say, hey, we're beginning to see a little bit of a loss here. Let's do something about that so that you don't experience that loss. Nowadays, you can monitor your own health. You have a lot of the fancy watches that are out there now, or this is an Under Armour shirt that you can tell you got one of them too? I won't ask you how much you paid, but anyway, they're actually very cool. But they can track everything from your oxygen to see if you're actually, many of us breathe incorrectly when we're exercising. Sometimes instead of pushing out when we're doing that, and then we wonder why sometimes we struggle, and it's because we just simply aren't getting the amount of oxygen we need. Or balance, hydration, which is a major issue. Hydration, by the way, how much water we have. How many of you had water before coming in here? Fantastic. So I know we got about 10 minutes before you have to go to the bathroom. I'm just joking. So here's the end result. Denise was very kind to show me this, and this is the result of you, those of you who participate with her, in improvement in your function, in your strength that improves that function over the course of 4 years. This is a total of all of you in here, and as you can see, the strength for upper body is just continually gone up. Now, why is upper body strength important? Well, you need to be able to put things up on your shelves, unless you keep everything down here. Then you need to just have a bowling ball. In your lower body, same thing. Improvements. The bottom line is doing this isn't scientific. Well, it is scientific. But the results are pretty well there. If you do it, you get the results. If you don't do it, the remote becomes very hard to lift when you're watching TV. It's true. Matter of fact, this was a commercial done by Coca-Cola out of Spain. But I thought that this actually showed, one, the message of function, and two, what we're able to do if we simply put our minds to it and think well. Now, otherwise than being a good ad for Coca-Cola, the message there I think is very strong, and that's her 866th jump. She hasn't stopped, okay? Why stop when you can still do the things you want to do? Just like Fajut Singh. So with that said, our key is to meet the physical activity guidelines and how many of you know what the physical activity guidelines are? I always ask this question. Most people go, I have no idea. Okay? Each week, you would like to do, you notice how I said you would like, not that you need to do, but you would like to do 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise. That could be walking, that could be not talking, okay? Just in case someone was going to say talking, I can talk for 150 minutes. Fantastic. Okay, walking 150 minutes a week. And you know, the benefit of that is your heart health and you know, things like diabetes, impacting a variety of different chronic health conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure and so forth. Doing 2 days a week, building your strength. Not building up to be a bodybuilder. None of you are going to be a bodybuilder at this stage, okay, if you're starting. You may, but, you know, doubtful. But being stronger becomes more important. To me, strength is crucial as you get older. And then things like flexibility, doing that on an ongoing basis. Any of you a little bit tight, you get up and you go, oh, I'm a little tight. Stretch, okay? And then also power training. And power training is just basically your reaction time so that you can avoid falls. Ask Denise and her staff what that means. You have the perfect equipment for it here in Kaiser because you're able to go at any speed. But she'll talk about that with you. The exciting part is more and more of us are doing it. People over the age of 65, we've seen a 116% increase in people who are actually meeting the physical activity guidelines. Let's give yourself a hand. Yeah, that's about all I would do it, actually. The challenge is we've gone from 5.5% to 11% of us that are actually doing it, that are able to meet it. So what it says is that most of us aren't meeting the physical activity guidelines, which is where we achieve all the benefits that impact the chronic health conditions. And by the way, each chronic health condition impacts your longevity by 1.8 years. If you can reduce some of these, like you know, high blood pressure, which you can impact, type 2 diabetes you can impact, depression you can impact, all of these with lifestyle changes, it helps not only with your quality of life, but adding years onto your life. 50% of us at least are achieving the cardiovascular health benefits, walking, riding, some running, some swimming if they can get the heart rate up high enough, and so forth. What's the benefit of all of this? Anyone here want to be more energetic? Tomorrow, work out. They need to change that. The word work out. We're going to call it something new here. Denise is going to rename all of her programs. Yeah. Fun out. Okay? That's it. Everything's going to be fun from now on. Less stress, more productive, more engaged. Okay? Now, at the end of the day, this is my friend Dick Durwall in Buffalo. He sent this to me and he said, Colin, it's all about what people can do today. It's not about what I'm going to do 5 years from now. It's what I can do today. So with that said, we see that food is also changing to help us age well. How many of you remember when food was just meant to be eaten or ate, whichever the proper, any English teachers? Okay, when food was good, and actually we just simply had it over a romantic meal or something like that. Now, food is actually being viewed more from a quality of life builder. Food is medicine. If you go and pick up food nowadays, you'll see will improve cholesterol levels, will actually help you to think better, all of this stuff. Read really closely, you know, and underneath all of that, we give you 50% of your daily sugar and all of that. So, but food is our ally in this area. Now, from what I understand, some of the meals down south maybe are a little bit fried and a little bit crispy, but, you know, you can make small changes that can make a big impact. So, with that said, I'm just going to focus on a couple more dimensions for you. Emotion. This one, I think, is probably one of the most important ones, and that is, we all know the impact of cardiovascular health, heart disease, you know, poor heart disease, COPD, here I am throwing out, you know, COPD, you know, high blood pressure, all of this. Well, can you tell me what the second leading cause of premature death and disability is expected to be by the year 2020? That's right, I just said depression, right? I was just seeing if you guys were listening. It's like a school teacher who gives you a trick question. Okay. And it is, it's depression. So what are we actually doing to counteract that? Well, first off, the first portion that we just talked about, physical activity, major influence in all of that. However, creating some form of life balance programs, helping you to connect with others. There's a multitude of different things that, the staff here can help you with. Just turning around and saying hello to your neighbor who's here tonight, or a potential neighbor who's here tonight, can make a big difference in connections, okay? Or just simply going swimming and not drowning the person next to you, okay? Depression, a big issue, especially if, our kids have moved away, some of our friends have passed on, we're feeling socially isolated and we get depressed. Big issue. That's when you need to, focus on coming to terms with what is causing the depression. It could be a lack of energy. It could be many different things. Fatigue risk management. Matter of fact, people actually get paid today to tell you you're tired. I can tell you half of this room is tired right now, and no, I'm just joking about that. But when we look at emotional health, what do you think when you see this picture? Withered or wonderful? Amen. Amen. But why? Okay, here is the impact. If you think withered, odds are you may live 7.6 years less. If we think negatively about growing older, remember I said a lot of it's up here in the mind? Research from Yale University shows that those who think negatively about the aging process actually live 7.6 years less. So when it comes to thinking, that's right, be happy. You know that song, Be Happy? We should all dance, but I don't dance very well. So anyway, but that's a major thing. If you're married to someone who's a negative thinker, you may want to help them shift that with a nudge saying, be happy. No, I'm just joking about that one. Environmental dimension. You have an incredible environment in this community. I have visited probably 2,000 communities now over the last 20 years, and this is probably among the top 10 communities, if not the top 5 communities that I've ever seen. So if you haven't, go out and see what else is happening. For one simple webinar, I get free room and board for the rest of my life. No. Maybe, but I did get a really good meal, thank you. Here's what's happening. We have realized that the environments that we have today are not suitable for people. And, they use the term age-friendly, but really the World Health Organization is talking about all ages, okay? So how do we make cities, environments inclusive for all people, accessible for all people? And there are initiatives happening all over the world around that right now. In the US, there's the Milken Institute that is trying to create successful cities, and there's 130 mayors that have actually signed on to pledge that their cities will become focused on more accessible and adaptable for some individuals that have some challenges as well. In the UK, this is something that is happening all over the place. Dementia-friendly cities, dementia-friendly businesses, age-friendly business. My point is that the environments are all changing because of the number of the population, and we're all growing much older than probably many governments thought. But we're also changing our environments in environments like this, where we're looking at the indoor and outdoor environment. You have beautiful life trail set out there for those that enjoy exercising outdoors. You have great weather for walking, except for a few months of the year, I understand, where it gets a little toasty. We were going to have this outside actually in one of those months, but but figuring out what environments can help you with your mental health, with your emotional health, such as building labyrinths into your communities or using ones out in the external community. Just being outdoors doing some form of physical activity, whether it's gardening, walking on a trail, playing in a park, can actually impact your mental health. So if you're having a hard time with your husband's lady, just kick him out the door, 5 minutes, bring him back in, he's okay. No. Okay, it's not a microwave, okay? That's why you see more and more communities building in what I'm actually calling the outdoor wellness center, where they have meditation gardens, where they have things like your life trails and walking paths and all these different things, turning the outdoors into your wellness center as well. And with the weather that you have, you can use that most of the year, and the benefits are all there for you. And then lastly, the intellectual dimension. And I'm going to leave the slides here with Denise, so if any of you want to look at them afterwards. Anyone want to be a little bit sharper cognitively? Oh, come on, don't be shy. Yes. You know, I'll tell you, there are two things that come into play. I'm married to a woman who loves keeping the house very clean. Oh, that's such a sexist thing nowadays to say, isn't it? Keeping. She likes doing it, and I like helping. So I will come home, I put my keys down, and by the time I go to take off my jacket, put it away, the keys are gone. Now, that has created a lot of discomfort for me for the first few years when I couldn't figure out where the keys were going. And I thought that I was beginning to have some cognitive challenges. So I would love to have been sharper at the time. So what can you do to challenge your brain? Okay, we know that Alzheimer's and dementia is a major issue, and there's not much we can talk about in regards to that right now unless you're really an expert in that area. But what we do know is that for many of us to stay sharp, we can do things like challenge our brain on an ongoing basis. How many of you like to debate your grandkids or somebody else's grandkids about whether today is better than when you were growing up? Or things like that, you know, learning another language, playing chess, Sudoku, all of these different things that we know, but a lot of us don't do. So learning Skype and then connecting with your grandchildren, that's the social dimension as well as the cognitive dimension. But how many of you take selfies? How many of you know what a selfie is? It's not being selfish. It's, yeah, okay. It's just basically the camera turning it, oh, I love myself, and I'm going to tell everybody about it. Just the way our parents told us. Technology. Technology will challenge our cognitive abilities significantly, but it's also very exciting if we like learning new things. I think one of the things that makes us grow old as opposed to keep us young is when we stop wanting to learn, when we stop being curious. Whenever I go away, my grandmother always goes, how were those people? Did you like where you were? She goes through, I think she has a little hit list, okay? And she asks the same question, but she's always curious where I was, what I was doing, who I was with. That part I won't tell her, but you know, all the other stuff. But if you want to keep your cognitive abilities sharp, also just walk. 75 minutes, not all at once if you don't want, but 75 minutes a week. Research just came out about 3 weeks ago. It was in New York Times. 75 minutes a week of cardiovascular exercise will keep your cognitive abilities sharp and alert. Now, if you're experiencing issues that are more medically based, that's not going to make that much of a difference. But physical activity is one of the ways of impacting loss of memory as well, lowering your risk factors, I should say. And then last for Denise, because I think we have 4 minutes, she's going, no, you don't. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this because it's always important, the social connection. Look in this room. This is really one big family. This is still Hope's family. How do you connect with each other? Do you connect with each other? From what I hear, you do it in many interesting and unique ways. But how do you build connections? Are you out there exercising and somebody is walking by and you go, you know, listen, why don't you come and do a little Tai Chi with me? That sounds like a good pickup line, doesn't it? I would tell you the best pickup line I've ever heard was from an 85-year-old lady, but I won't tell you because I don't have time. But I'll leave you with that one. Oh, it was great. Intergenerational programs, okay? Just having fun. You know, at some stage we got to let loose and just say, hey, who cares? I'm just going to have fun and it doesn't matter, and I'm going to do it with my grandkids or somebody else's. You know, mentoring, all of these different ways to connect socially. Here's what you have here that I loved your triathlon training that was a way for people to connect. Not just those that were participating, but those who were cheering behind the scenes. And I'm sure each and every one of you were cheering for those that were actually in competition. Now, did you all know about the triathlon training here for your residents and people outside? Okay. You also have an amazing new area. When I came in, I said to Denise, you have to give me a picture so I can at least show it. Because you have a great area to get together and socialize. You know, I could see ballroom dancing happening and all of that. A little love taking place. No, anyway. Thursday? Oh, I have to come back. So, with that, I'm gonna leave you. The spiritual dimension is one. You have a beautiful, is it that way? That way. Yes. Directions. I live west, so where's the sun setting? So you have a beautiful chapel, but also finding things that you like to connect with yourself, whether it's reading, whether it's, you know, going for a walk and connecting with nature, but just something that's going to lower the stress level and enable you to connect with yourself. That, you know, meditation is a great way of doing it. I have a hard time with meditation. I just can't do it. Others can. You know, I mean, I remember seeing someone do that and I was going, maybe I should wake them up. So anyway, you know, I would hope that you connect with yourself on a spiritual level, but that you take advantage of all that you have here, because this is an incredible community, and to take full advantage of it requires one thing. Can anyone tell me what that is? The desire. You just simply want to take advantage of it, and then you go to someone like Denise and you say, I want to do this, or help me do this. That's what she's here for. I've just increased her workload significantly. But on the other hand, I've just increased her pay 20%. No, so anyway. So I'd like to leave you on that note and leave a few moments for any questions that you may have.